Peace, y'all. A little February 2nd China shop update. We've been working on the plumbing, trying to plumb our whole house filter system in because our water tanks, they're not filtered. There's no filter system here at all. Back before we moved in, this side had a bunch of like wood shavings and stuff that you buy at like the Tractor Supply or Farm and Fleet out here for your chickens and stuff, because everybody has chicken coops and stuff out in the country, animals and whatever. This was like the dog house of the people that rented the joint. They had dogs, and so it kept the floor warm or whatever. The dogs would mull around in here, get excited, you know, look at the door to jumping around, and it would create dust. And the furnace had no plenum on it back then. So if the furnace kicked on in the winter to keep the water system from freezing, and the dogs had jumped around and kicked up dust, it blew all around, right? I mean, the air just blew straight up here and went wherever it wanted to. Well, some of that dusty crap got into these tanks and is settled in the bottom. It's not much, but it's enough to where I bought myself and the wife for Christmas last year these turbo shower things, right? It's got a little blade on the inside, but it has a paper element filter in the handle that you can see. It's clear. The handle itself is clear. And so what we got was a bunch of this stuff right here, that yellow looking stuff right there. It's almost like a rusty color, and you run your finger on it and it comes off. So it's on the inside of all the OEM pipe that I didn't replace, right? Now we had, obviously, this was part of what I did. It was down here on the bottom down here. And I took you a video last night, but I didn't put it up. It was here. I didn't let this final joint dry long enough before I turned the water on and turned the pump on. The pump, it puts 50 pounds of pressure in the system. I turned it on, I kind of watched it, everything was okay, so I went in the house, and the faucets were open to drain the pressure down when we were going to cut into the original system and plumb our filters. And so I watched it run a bit. I turned one on in the bathroom and it ran, and I shut it off. And went from cold to hot, then back to cold at the sink, the kitchen sink, and then all of a sudden, after maybe 5 minutes of running, it slowed down, and it stopped. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I run over to the back door, I open the door, and I can hear the pump, you know, because the pump needs to be replaced because it's loud. And I bought, that's another video, I bought the exact same pump, so the other one's going to drop right in. But one headache at a time, one honeydew, one home improvement freaking job at a time, man, for me. I come back out here, and this connection here, this was the OEM pipe, right? The coupling onto the OEM pipe had separated, and it was pumping water right onto the floor. I mean, just as fast as that pump would go, you know. So I killed the power to the pump, shut the water valve off again down here, the main water going to the pump, and just stuffed it back together. I actually tried to put more glue on it and stick it together, and I find out later on from Rich, the plumber around the block from here, who has told me a year ago he'd come over and do this if I hung it on the wall, and a year later he's never come and done it. That's why I decided to take the bull by the horns and do it myself. It's not rocket science, right? I obviously I should have, well, in a perfect world, you'd have waited longer. I had a temperature back here yesterday up well over 70 degrees, and so it was nice and warm up in here, but down here below your knees, maybe not as warm. And this is where I finished, right? The T and the pipes coming in. With the coupling and all that stuff, and I should have read the can. I should have let it sit. And knowing the OEM pipe, almost always, watch this, still has water dripping out of it. Rich the plumber said 1 drop of water will ruin that clear glue, ruin the joint, the seal. And this morning, after gluing it and sticking it back together, we let it sit all night. So I told the wife, pee as many times as you can in a can before you flush it. Thank goodness we didn't have to cut any, you know what I mean. We didn't have to do any bowel movements. So this morning we flushed all the toilets. I told her now that it sat all night and I boosted the heat up, I'll go out and see if it ensures anything. It just had a drip, just a little drip. It wasn't a gusher, but obviously you can't take it back apart. You got to cut it apart to fix it. And what I noticed is, you see these first 3 fittings here, 3 or 4, have this blue glue on it. I don't want to get too close. I'm trying to learn from the video I took last night. And that blue glue is called rain and sunshine. I bought some. See, if I'd have known, and that stuff is specifically made for, you're going to do pool plumbing or outdoor plumbing. Rain and shine, right? Rain or shine. So this glue you can put right on the end of that pipe with the water oozing out and everything. Just like the the magic tape where the guy sticks it on with the water coming out and it seals right up. The blue stuff is for if you're fixing the swimming pool, you're doing something out in the rain, you're plumbing out in the rain outdoors. I didn't know that. I wish somebody at the store would have told me that. But that's the difference between a fitting and PVC installer and a plumber. Me being the PVC and fitting installer. So, educate yourself as best you can, or just do yourself a favor and hire Rich the plumber, or hire a Rich the plumber. If you can't get your own Rich the plumber to come over, then you need to hire a professional. There's 50 pounds of pressure in here at all times when this thing is up and running, even if there's, nothing going on. So this thing springs a leak in the middle of the night. We're not going to be able to hear the pump all the way in the house, especially after I change the pump out and it's not, and we get the new one. It's nice and quiet again. We get when it's full, and we just had them come and put some water, and we used about 500 gallons since Monday when he came. Today being Sunday, so about a week, we've used about 500 gallons. It'll pump 5,000 gallons of water right onto the ground. So we decided that we went down the street and we bought new fittings. What we're going to do is this will be the T that replaces the one on the bottom. We'll have a coupling and a piece of stub pipe on this side, coupling and a piece of stub pipe on the center. And then instead of a coupling, we're going to use another T, and we're going to get some sealer on this here. And this is what this is going to do, is even when we open as many faucets in the house as we can, the pressure gauge here, I'm just going to try to stay out of the light, goes down to 0 like it is now. There's no water coming out in the house at all, period, nothing. You cut into this pipe and it comes squirting out. There's still some water pressure there. So that's what that little spigot's for. If we need to change the filters, which we will one day, after having to cut this apart not once but twice now, I learned my lesson. This will be our drain off. We'll be able to drain off pressure and water right off the very bottom. So when we take those housings off and replace the filters inside, we won't need buckets and rags and a fan blowing to dry it all up like we did yesterday. And everything will be honky-dory. So there you go. I'm going to get this thing up and running. The wife's got a ton of laundry she wants to do. She's in there tapping her feet waiting for me to get done. So we'll get this back up and running, and we'll wait the proper amount of time this time. And then maybe we'll show you what's happening here. Super excited about this project. I bought that stuff when we first bought the house, and it had been sitting in a box for 3 months before we talked to Rich the plumber, and then it's been a year since then. So or more than a year. So yeah, we're excited about getting our whole house filter system in and getting our water cleaned up, because we aren't even drinking the water, even though it's city water. With what I told you about the dog and the stuff getting in and it leaving that residue in the pipe, that residue is still going to be in all the pipes from here down and through the ground into the house. Everything in the house, under the house, running to the fixtures is going to have that stuff in it. And I think unless you wiped it, it wouldn't come out. I don't know if maybe years of running it through will do it. But like I said, I bought me and the wife those turbo shower heads that are clear, and they have a filter in them, and the filters look just like that color, right? That same color, rusty orange looking. So by replacing those, we'll be able to see if, if we need I don't know, like a charcoal filter or something right at our Brita filter, right at our tap, so we can drink it right out of the tap. Otherwise, we have a Brita pitcher. We can always drink it out of there, I suppose. But yeah, here we are, China shop, working on some plumbing. Hang in there, y'all. It'll get better. Test my nerves a little bit yesterday. Got wet 2 or 3 times. I think Rich took off at the opportune time before the pipe burst. He was already out of here. So thanks, Rich. I appreciate that, buddy. Godspeed. God bless. I love you all. I'm praying for you. Pray for me too. It'll get better because Jesus is coming.